off the list today, FT3, a lost asteroid that could very well collide with Earth on October 5th of the year 2024. So in other words, 6 months from now. It's been called the lost asteroid because astronomers haven't actually been able to see it since 2007, but the trajectory determined at that time showed that the asteroid had a 1 in 11.5 million chance of colliding with our planet later this year. So what happens if that slim chance becomes a sure thing? Well, as you can imagine, irreparable damage. The energy released on impact would be equivalent to 2.6 billion tons of TNT, which would cause massive regional damage. I know it's an incredibly slim chance, but still it's pretty worrying nonetheless. Luckily, however, the collision of this asteroid would not trigger a global catastrophe like the one that took out the dinosaurs, so I guess as long as you're far away from the site of impact, you would survive. But I'm assuming an event like this would cause a major decline in the quality of life worldwide, so I'd still be worried. Next up, we've got WR104, the real life Death Star that is getting closer and closer to our planet each and every day. Okay, so it's not actually a moon-sized Star Wars space station with the ability to destroy our entire planet. It's actually a triple star system, a group of 3 stars spinning really fast around one another with the ability to destroy our entire planet. Currently, the system is 7,500 light years away, but it's getting faster by the minute, and it's also aimed directly at Earth, so it's not promising. As the main star of the trio continues consuming gas from the other two, it also holds the potential to go supernova. And if that happens while the star is directly facing us, it's possible that not even 7,500 light years will protect us from the intense gamma ray burst that may be released from the celestial being. If it misses us, great, it will be one of the most talked about astronomical events in history, but if not, it could be one of the most talked about great extinction events in history. I'm really hoping for the first one. Next up, we have Snot Ball asteroids. What are they? Well, it's an asteroid of any size really with a soft crust outer shell. Inside, the object is made up of ice, snow, and bacteria. If the asteroid were to come into contact with Earth, plunging down into the depths of the ocean, would that bacteria have the ability to survive? Well, probably, especially considering the fact that it's highly likely that the oceans on our planet were created by asteroids filled with water in the first place. The waters in the snot ball and the waters in our oceans would likely provide a similar environment in which the bacteria would be able to survive and maybe even thrive once introduced to our underwater ecosystems. But would life on Earth continue to thrive once this foreign bacteria is introduced? Well, it's possible. I mean, anything's possible, but I'm thinking you wouldn't be wrong to be worried. Next on the list, we have Gaia BH1, the current closest black hole to Earth, and when I say close, I mean it. This thing is only 1,500 light years away from Earth, which in the scheme of things means that it is practically sitting in our planet's backyard. When it was first discovered in 2022, scientists took note that this particular black hole was 10 times closer to Earth than the previous record holder, and not only that, but Gaia BH1 has a mass of 10 times bigger than that of our Sun, meaning its gravitational force is insane. Currently, Gaia remains relatively dormant, thank God. I mean, it even has a little sun-like star of its own orbiting its perimeter, and it hasn't sucked that thing up yet. But should the black hole decide to change its predominantly dormant ways, given its proximity to Earth, in scientific terms, we'd be screwed. Next up, for those of you born in 1999 or later, your 30s are looking like they might just be a bit non-existent. And that will be all thanks to 99942 Apophis, an asteroid set to make its closest approach to Earth on April 13th of 2029. Currently, it's set to come no closer than 19,635 miles, but, you know, things change. And considering the fact that this thing is equivalent to 5 football fields across and taller than the New York Empire State Building, should something cause this asteroid to go off of its predicted course and cause it to collide with Earth's surface, we could be looking at some serious damage, and that's if this next one doesn't get us first. Asteroid AN10 is next, and it's set to make its closest contact to Earth in the year 2027, passing within just 242,000 miles. This asteroid is 0.6 of a mile, or 965 meters long, which may sound small in the scheme of things, but I feel it's important to note that an asteroid with a diameter of even just 300 meters can cause regional devastation, and this is 3 times that. Given that the asteroid doesn't decide to randomly change course and collide with Earth when it passes at a distance almost equivalent to the distance between Earth and the Moon, it will likely be visible through binoculars. So if you'd like to see this marvel, mark your calendars for August 7th of 2027. But now I'm thinking of what would happen if the asteroid hits the Moon. Next up we have Oumuamua, and I've actually talked about this one before, which makes sense because it's super fascinating. It's also been called the Traveler, which makes sense, considering it didn't actually originate within our solar system. In fact, no one knows which star system Oumuamua originated in, but what we do know is that it's had to cover quite a long distance to get this close to Earth. The foreign object was discovered on October 19th of 2017, and obviously was something no one had ever seen before. It's unclear whether or not the object is an asteroid, or perhaps even a shard of hydrogen ice formed by a cold interstellar dust cloud mixed with gas, and so the object is referred to as simply a space rock. And this space rock made its closest contact to Earth in October of 2017. We got lucky then, but who's to say something doesn't change its trajectory, which is currently heading towards Neptune, back to Earth? If JoJo can come back like a boomerang, why not Oumuamua? That's a pop culture reference for you guys. By the way, Oumuamua directly translates to a messenger from afar arriving first. So if Oumuamua itself doesn't come back to Earth, the name really implies that something else will. Next up, gamma rays, which we talked a little bit about when discussing the Death Star earlier. Well, gamma rays are bursts of penetrating electromagnetic radiation produced by colliding neutron stars, or the collapse of giant stars into black holes. So what would happen if either of those things took place in part of the Milky Way galaxy? You know, our galaxy. Well, it wouldn't be good. While gamma ray bursts can be absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere, if a catastrophic event like star collision or collapse were to occur close enough to Earth, which it totally could, the atmosphere would be no match for the radiation. Almost instantly, the beam of the gamma ray would wipe out half of our planet and cause unimaginable levels of radiation to settle in the affected areas, so it's not ideal. Next up, Bennu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and I know the title of this video says near future, but in the scheme of things, like the entire universe scheme of things, I personally think that September 2nd in the year 2182 is not that far away. I mean, it's 158 years. Our grandkids will probably be alive for that, which is great, but also kind of scary, considering that 2182 is the year in which Bennu is supposed to make its closest approach to Earth. Oh, and there is also a 1 in 2,700 chance that it will strike our planet. And again, given the scheme of the universe, I feel like those still aren't great odds. Maybe like 0.5 and 3 billion would give me confidence, but 1 in less than 3,000? I don't know. Bennu is a 74 million ton, 0.49 kilometer carbon-rich asteroid believed to have broken away from a much larger one between 2 billion and 7 million years ago. If it were to collide with Earth, the impact would be equivalent to the detonation of 1.4 billion tons of TNT. It might not end the world, but it would certainly end millions of lives. Unrelated, how is Elon coming on the whole Mars thing? And finally, we have perhaps the most daunting threat of all, if I'm being honest. Space junk. It is estimated that there are about 500,000 pieces of space junk between 1 and 10 centimeters, and over 25,000 larger pieces caught within the orbit of the Earth. In 2023, 211 spacecrafts were successfully launched into orbit, and so far in 2024, the number of successful launches sits at 71, and that's just 4 months into the year. While advancements in science and space exploration are amazing, overcrowding. The more satellites that get launched, the more crowded Earth's orbit becomes, and the greater risk it becomes. Overcrowding leads to a greater chance of collision, and I don't think I have to explain to you why satellites colliding are bad. But here's the thing, it's actually way worse than just losing internet or cell service. Collisions like that can cause more shrapnel to break off into orbit, and if our orbit becomes polluted enough, it will eventually become unstable, causing space travel to become the equivalent of driving a Jeep through a landfill, but much more dangerous. So it's going to inhibit our ability to explore space, which is obviously not a good thing. There's so much out there to know. And also, not to mention, objects like the Hubble Space Telescope are looking more and more like they might crash land onto the ground. So, you know, keep your head up and your eyes locked.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have 1997XF11. We all know, or at least have heard, that the dinosaurs were wiped out by an asteroid hitting Earth. If an asteroid were to hit Earth now, there is a good chance it would have a similar effect, but of course on humans. There have been dozens of asteroids that have nearly missed Earth, and a lot of them have been known and had their paths calculated beforehand to ensure our safety. But there have also been a lot of near misses that weren't seen until right before, or sometimes even after the asteroid had already passed. There were 5 near misses in 2020 alone. In 2028, this asteroid is going to come extremely close to hitting Earth, but as of right now, scientists believe that it will miss the planet. If this asteroid were to hit Earth, it would be a mile-wide asteroid hitting Earth at about 30,000 miles per hour, which is similar to a 1 million megaton bomb, which would most likely wipe out all of the life on Earth. So let's hope that doesn't happen, or maybe Elon Musk will be able to send us to Mars by 2028. In our number 9 spot today, we have 2022 AE1. Earlier this year, in January, as the year began, scientists were watching an asteroid dubbed 2022 AE1 that became the riskiest one observed in over a decade. The initial observations of this asteroid placed it impacting with Earth on roughly July 4th, 2023, which would mean that there would not be enough time to deflect it, and this asteroid was large enough to do some real damage should it strike an area. Yeah, it was most definitely a cause for concern. There was a week where the moon outshone this asteroid and experts weren't able to see it and continue tracking its path, but once the moon was out of this phase, the risk seemed to have diminished. As of now, this asteroid has been taken off the risk list, but who knows? It seems as though things can change quite quickly and unexpectedly outside of the cozy home and protection of our atmosphere. In our number 7 spot today, we have 2020 CD3. In February of 2020, astronomers found this asteroid, which is a tiny near-Earth asteroid or mini-moon that orbits the sun, but it does make really close approaches to our Earth-Moon system, and it can even temporarily enter Earth's orbit. It is the second temporary satellite of Earth discovered in situ. Based on its trajectory, this asteroid was captured by Earth around 2016 or 2017, but it likely escaped the gravitational influence of Earth around May of 2020. Even the asteroid didn't want to stick around for the pandemic. 2020 CD3 is likely to make another close pass at Earth in 2044, but it hopefully won't be captured by Earth this time because of its greater approach distance. While this little thing is flying through space and it makes its nice little frequent visits to us, the good news is that it is relatively small in terms of asteroids, so it's not likely an imminent threat to humanity. In our number 6 spot today, we have 153814 2001 WN5. This asteroid is classified as a small asteroid, but that does not mean that this thing is completely harmless. This asteroid has an orbit that passes that of Earth's, making it a near-Earth asteroid, but it is also a potentially hazardous one because of how close it can get. This asteroid orbits the Sun every 818 days or 2.24 years, and it gets as far away from the Sun as 2.51 astronomical units. Like I mentioned, this guy is classified as a small asteroid, but with a diameter of 0.9 kilometers, it is larger than about 97% of other small asteroids. It is said to be about the size of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is just absolutely insane to think about. The pass by the Earth that this asteroid is going to make that is the most concerning to scientists is going to happen on June 26th, 2028. Right now it is projected to be passing by at a distance of 248,700 kilometers, but when we're talking about a flying space object, that's getting a little too close for comfort. It is said that during this close approach, the asteroid will be visible with just binoculars. In our number 5 spot today, we have 2008 DB. This is an asteroid that is said to be about the size of a school bus, and its orbit is one that crosses the orbit of Earth. This asteroid is definitely classified as being near Earth because of the fact that it is less than 1 astronomical unit away from Earth upon its closest approaches. This asteroid orbits the Sun, and it does so in a little longer than an Earth year, about every 395 days, so 1.08 years. One thing I found really interesting about this asteroid is that the way they were able to estimate its size was by how bright it is and how this asteroid reflects light. Science is just so fascinating. It is said that 2008 DB has 9 close approaches to Earth in the coming decades, so fingers crossed all goes well. In our number 4 spot today, we have 2014 HB177. This asteroid is quite similar to the last one. It is also around the size of a school bus, and it is an asteroid that is near Earth and often crosses with our orbit. This near-Earth asteroid actually had a relatively close pass by Earth just last year in 2021 when it came within 10 million kilometers of Earth. That sounds like a lot, but in space terms, it's really not that much. This asteroid orbits the Sun about every 430 days or 1.18 years, but it rotates on its own axis quite quickly, completing a rotation every 0.02 hours. The next close approach of this asteroid to Earth is coming on May 6th, 2034, when this asteroid will be 514,556 kilometers away from Earth, but it doesn't stop here. There are 7 upcoming dates, some of which are in our lifetime, that have been assessed as having an impact risk in these very close approach scenarios. The most risky right now is dated as May 3rd, 2085. In our number 3 spot today, we have 2010 RF12. This asteroid is one that orbits the Sun every 399 days or 1.09 years, and at its closest point, its orbit is startlingly close to Earth's. When this asteroid was first observed, it was actually thought to have the highest probability of striking Earth, but thankfully that number has since dropped in the last few years. Just recently, however, this asteroid had one close approach with Earth, passing at a distance of a little over 10 million kilometers. From now until 2095, there is thought to be 13 upcoming close approaches, with the final one being at the very small distance of 47,000 kilometers. Thankfully, the good news is that this asteroid is on the smaller size when it comes to asteroids, which means that should something go awry and this asteroid were to impact Earth, it likely wouldn't be the Earth-shattering, humanity-destroying asteroid that we all fear. In our number 1 spot today, we have 2021 QM1. This asteroid was first discovered on August 28th, 2021, and at the time of its discovery, it wasn't of much concern, but follow-up observations revealed something very different. It suddenly rang alarm bells that it might be on a path to a near miss with Earth around 2052. This asteroid is measured at about 50 meters in diameter, which is said to, should it impact Earth, be the equivalent of about 6 megatons of TNT or 400 times the strength of a nuclear bomb. Just not very good and very obviously of concern. To make all the nervous scientists more nervous, shortly after discovery, this asteroid disappeared behind the Sun out of their view. They waited patiently and used the very large telescope as much as they could, and when the asteroid peeked out from behind the Sun, they were ready, and it was then that they managed to capture an image of the faintest asteroid ever observed. This observation thankfully gave them some good news. This asteroid likely won't hit Earth in 2052, and for now, for the foreseeable future, it shouldn't be on a collision course with Earth. They of course are going to continue observing it though and checking in, just to make sure that continues to be the case. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have 3122 Florence. This asteroid is stony, it's approximately 5 kilometers in diameter, and it even has 2 of its very own moons. This asteroid was first discovered on March 2nd, 1981 by American astronomer Shelt J. Buss, and it was named in honor of Florence Nightingale. The reason Florence is considered a potentially hazardous object is because of the fact that it has made and will continue to make close approaches to Earth, and because the measurements of it suggest that it is large enough to cause some serious damage should we end up colliding. On September 1st, 2017, Florence passed us at a distance of 0.047237 astronomical units, approximately 18 times the average distance of the Moon. That might seem far, but it truly is getting a little too close for comfort. This was was the closest approach the asteroid had to Earth since 1890, and the next approach is coming up on September 2nd, 2057. In our number 6 spot today we have 4179 Taudatus. This elongated stony asteroid is a slow rotator, but that does not mean it is no cause for concern. Depending on how long you've been on the internet, you might actually be kind of familiar with this asteroid, considering it was the focus of a 2004 email chain that falsely claimed that there was a 63% chance that it was going to collide with Earth. First discovered in 1989 by French astronomer Christian Paulus and named after the Celtic god, this asteroid is approximately 2.5 kilometers in diameter. This asteroid is partially of concern due to the fact that it has quite a chaotic orbit and it frequently has close approaches to many planets, of course including Earth. In December of 2012, this asteroid passed within 18 lunar distances of Earth. In 2016, it made another close approach, and the next notably close approach of this asteroid is in 2069. In our number 4 spot today we have 4183 Kuno. This asteroid measures about 4 kilometers in diameter and was first discovered in June of 1959 by German astronomer Kuno Hofmeister. This asteroid orbits the Sun at a distance of about 0.7 astronomical units once every 2 years and 9 months or 1019 days. This asteroid is about 11 lunar distances from Earth on its closest approaches, which is what landed it the title of a near-Earth object and a potentially hazardous asteroid. In the 21st century alone, this asteroid has made close approaches to Earth within 40 million kilometers 6 different times. The most recent close approach was in May of 2012 when it came within a distance of 0.122 AU, and the next closest approach will come in 2093 when it is set to pass at 0.084 AU.
Number 10. In Doctor Who, Season 1, the Doctor takes Rose Tyler to see the destruction of the Earth in 5 billion years. However, researchers working with NASA think that the world will actually end in 1 billion years, so 4 billion years less. This will be due to our ever-expanding sun, which will burn off all of the oxygen on our planet, essentially turning into a little fireball before it's consumed. The sun will most likely expand into a red dwarf and literally eat us. Hopefully by then we will have expanded into the universe and inhabited other planets, and you know, like Firefly. It would be awesome if that was real. However, we might destroy ourselves before the sun even has a chance to. So although it is inevitable that the sun will eat us for lunch, what we are doing now might beat it to the punch if we don't do something about it. Number 9. Wandering black holes. Black holes that move? No thank you. They can stay right where they are, except for some of them can't. Scientists always suspected that black holes could travel, but they just haven't found one until March 2020, that is. Yay! Researchers at the Center of Astrophysics Harvard-Smithsonian finally found a concrete specimen. At the center of a galaxy 230 million light years away is a wandering black hole. It has a mass of 3 million times that of our sun, and it is moving at 110,000 miles per hour. Black holes, due to their sheer mass, are usually just too heavy to get any kind of traction. Imagine kicking a bowling ball versus a soccer ball. Bowling ball is the black hole. But scientists think that it may have gotten its start due to a collision, therefore meaning that it could be part of a pair. So where's the other one? Could it be heading straight for us, ready to suck future generations into oblivion? I guess we will never find out, but they will, so good luck guys. Number 8. Satellite Demolition Derby. I feel like we practically just started going to space. It's only been since the 60s, like 6 decades, like that's insane. Which is why this number blows my mind. In space right now, orbiting our planet are tens of thousands of pieces of space junk, even millions. There are 2,000 active satellites and 3,000 dead ones just like chilling up there. Now that may not sound like too much of a problem, but it really could be. If they started hitting each other, the results would be disastrous. NASA scientist Donald Kessler in the 1970s proposed that if there was too much space junk in orbit, that a chain reaction could occur. As the junk collides with each other, it could cause even more space junk, making Earth's orbit entirely unusable. As you can gather, this would potentially be catastrophic. For companies like SpaceX, who plan on launching 50,000 satellites for global internet coverage, more obstacle avoidance procedures need to be put in place before that happens. Otherwise, I don't know, I don't want to think about it. It could get really bad. Number 7. Aliens. The wonderful late Stephen Hawking proposed that aliens could be dangerous for us to interact with. If you haven't seen Into the Universe with Stephen Hawking, you should. It's great. I love it. I put it on in the background all the time. He states that not only do intelligent life forms definitely exist, just probability wise, he does warn that interacting with them could be really dangerous. Quote, "We only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet." Unquote. First and foremost, if they actually made it here, then they have technology far beyond our understanding yet. That kind of technology would be pretty intimidating, and consider how well we humans have dealt with meeting new people in the past. Answer, not good. But who's to say these intelligent aliens might not also be looking to colonize and conquer? We could be to them what the Mayans were to Cortez. If it's the other way around and we end up seeking them out first, who's to say history wouldn't repeat itself? You know? Especially if we're looking for a new place to live? Ugh. Number 6. Wandering stars. The entire universe is continuing to expand, so that means that everything is constantly moving and could eventually tear apart. But anyways, even our sun is moving. But in relation to us, it isn't moving. However, there are stars that do. They are called wandering stars, and there is one in the Milky Way. What makes this one so dangerous is that it could get so close to our sun that it disturbs the Oort cloud. This cloud at the edge of the solar system is composed of comets, which would come hurtling at us if something were to hit it. Therefore, not a pleasant thing to think about. As we will discuss later, asteroids will not be kind to Earth. Now imagine thousands all at once. Currently though, we are in a region of less dense interstellar gas. Additionally, the wind and solar magnetic field protect us from interacting with the stellar medium. We will probably move out of this in the next 20,000 to 50,000 years, meaning more dangers will come our way. So basically, our sun protects us until something messes with that. Hence, wandering stars are the worst. I won't be around to see that, hopefully not anyways, and you won't me either, but somebody will be, and I hope they don't get to see it either. Number 5. Supernova. What is a supernova? Well, it's essentially when a star of immense size explodes. Is this potentially deadly? Absolutely. Our sun is expected to die eventually, but probably not for, a billion years as previously mentioned. But what will happen when it does? Well, the entire Earth would burn up essentially as previously mentioned. It would be 15 times hotter than the surface of the sun, but that's not going to happen for a while yet. However, if a supernova occurred some 30 light years away, this could have detrimental effects on Earth now. Possibly mass extinctions, destruction of the ozone layer, therefore leaving Earth vulnerable to solar rays, which would kill us all. The oxygen and nitrogen in the atmosphere could also ionize, meaning our atmosphere would turn into a kind of thick smog. Not a good time, and doesn't sound very good. I don't want to be there. Number 3. Solar flares. Okay, so even if you're someone who condemns cell phones and says that the internet is killing our brains, yada yada yada, much of your life still depends on technology. Many people worry that a killer solar flare could destroy our planet, but that's not actually possible. But what is possible is a complete and total blackout. While the heat of a flare can't make it to Earth, electromagnetic radiation and energetic particles can. They can and have messed with the upper atmosphere and disrupted signal transmissions. But that's tame compared to what else could happen. Should a coronal mass ejection, a CME, hit Earth, it's game over for Insta. I will never see you again. Bye bye YouTube. They propel electromagnetic fluctuations that could fry ground level power grids, causing a total worldwide blackout. The largest geomagnetic storm caused by this ever recorded was in 1859. Telegraph networks around the globe failed, operators were shocked, and telegraph paper caught on fire. If we have a storm anything close to that, it could be catastrophic. Number 2. An asteroid. Of course. Ever seen Deep Impact or Armageddon? I have seen both, each only once because they terrified me so much. All throughout our galaxy, throughout the universe, there are wandering massive rocks drifting through space. Some are as large as whole provinces, even countries. At this moment, there are currently 20,000 asteroids in our galaxy that could pose a threat. Now, I assume that scientists actually have a plan for if one starts barreling for us, but it would be incredibly hard to stop regardless. The White House Office of Science and Technology Policy released a report on June 20th in 2018 that detailed the steps NASA and FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, will take to prevent asteroids from striking Earth and prepare the US for the consequences of the event. Side note, I love how Canada always dies in every disaster movie ever. The day after tomorrow, nobody cares about them. We're probably fine though. Anyways, that was a side note, side tangent. Anyways, the US, they are planning ways on deflecting them, as well as developing technology that better predicts the probability that ones will hit. So, maybe we won't be able to stop them, but we'll know they're coming, so I guess we can like say goodbye to our loved ones. And last but not least, interstellar clouds. Imagine one day looking up into the sky and not seeing any stars. Or very few at least. Then another night you look into your telescope and you can no longer see Jupiter. The next morning there's a murky darkness over the sky. You realize that no, this isn't a sci-fi nightmare or an episode of Doctor Who. There's no one to save us. What I'm talking about is an interstellar dust cloud that is capable of destroying the Earth. But don't worry, as terrifying as that intro was, we probably won't be alive to see it. Maybe no one will be, who knows. This event will probably happen in a few millennia, but eventually Earth will come in contact with a cloud 1,000 times denser than space. Imagine going from swimming in a pool to swimming in a pile of jello. Yeah. Dust and gas will penetrate our atmosphere and eat away the oxygen. Our planet will then be left vulnerable to solar wind that will come in and tear apart the molecules of life. Something I'm glad I will not be there to see.
And we're starting things off at number 10 with Apophis. 99942 Apophis is a near-Earth asteroid that first grabbed attention in 2004 because of its potential to collide with our home. This space rock, which is roughly 340 meters in diameter, swings by our planet periodically, just to let us know that we're on a rock floating in the middle of a giant black void, surrounded by things that could exterminate us in seconds. The concern began when early observations suggested a small chance of a collision in 2029. Further observations ruled out a direct hit, but raised the possibility of a future impact in 2036. Now, luckily, more calculations have downgraded the risk considerably. The current consensus is that the chances of Apophis hitting Earth in 2036 or any time in the foreseeable future is extremely low. Still, scientists continue to monitor its trajectory, refining predictions and assessing the potential for an impact. Make sure, by the way, to stick around to the end of this video because I may or may not be doing a comment shout out. Yeah, we might be bringing those back. Number 8, 2009 FD, also known as 367943 Duende. This is a near-Earth asteroid that gained attention because of its close approach to our planet. It was discovered back in 2009. It's relatively small, with an estimated diameter of about 50 meters. It made a terrifyingly close approach on March 27th of 2009 though, hurtling within 64,000 kilometers or 40,000 miles of our planet. This event was particularly significant because it brought 2009 FD closer to Earth than the average distance to the moon. That is pretty close call. At our number 7 spot, we have 2007 FT3. NASA had warned about a potentially hazardous asteroid known as 2007 FT3, which was initially labeled as a lost asteroid as it slipped out of NASA's surveillance after its discovery in 2007. There's some concern about this one. This celestial body, which was once lost, is now back on the radar and poses a threat to Earth with an estimated collision chance of 1 in 11.5 million in October of 2024. Discovered more than a decade ago, 2007 FT3 has the potential to unleash an energy equivalent to a staggering 2.6 billion tons of TNT upon impact. The predicted date for a potential collision is most likely October 5th of 2024. Now, a 1 in 11.5 million chance, that is extremely low, but it would really suck if this thing hit. NASA has offered reassurance though, saying there would be a minimal probability of global harm, not ruling it out entirely though. Number 6, 2023 TL4. So this celestial troublemaker barged into our cosmic awareness not too long ago, and it's not exactly sending warm, fuzzy feelings our way. Pinpointed during observations spanning from October 8th to the 19th, in 2023, this space rock carries a razor-thin 0.00055% chance, roughly 1 in 181,000 odds of smashing into our beloved Earth. But before you start building a bunker in your backyard, because I know even with that low probability, at least one of you is going to, just relax a bit, because we're not talking about an imminent threat here. The potential cosmic collision may not actually happen until sometime between 2119 and 2121. So that gives us a pretty decent heads up, but let's just say the cosmic dice roll in favor of chaos. the impact could unleash an energy equivalent to a mind-blowing 7.5 billion tons of TNT. To put it bluntly, we'd be screwed. So, scientists are keeping a watchful eye on this thing. At our number 5 spot, we have 1950 DA. This one is an absolute monster, a true cosmic threat. It was discovered way back on the 23rd of February in 1950 by Carl A. Wirtanen, and given the catchy name 29075 or 1950 DA. Researchers have been keeping a close eye on the cosmic beast ever since, sort of. NASA alarmingly lost sight of it for a while. There's a potential for some real destruction in this thing's wake. The odds of 1950 DA smacking into Earth are, at this point, not as cozy as we'd probably like. It's been calculated that there is a slim but existent chance, about 1 in 4,000, that this asteroid could make an unwelcome entrance in the coming years. A rock roughly a kilometer wide hurtling towards us. If this thing were to hit, we're talking about an impact that would make the dinosaurs' demise seem like a picnic. The energy unleashed would be in the ballpark of 44,800 megatons of TNT. The good news, we still have some time to perfect our asteroid deflection technology. This next one has a cool name, 1979 XB. I just imagine 1979 being a really cool year, and anything with X in the title just automatically has that edge factor. It also sounds a bit like a car or something. The new 1979 XB. Anyway, this thing isn't actually cool if you value Earth's existence, that is. The asteroid known as 1979 XB has emerged as a cause for concern among experts because of its potential threat to the Earth. With the capability to release the energy equivalent to approximately 30 billion tons of TNT once it hits, this asteroid has got some real attention, even though it's been off the radar for around 4 decades. Observed for just a mere 3 or so days during its initial discovery, 1979 XB has proved elusive to further searches, even when conducted with more focused efforts. It's categorized as a near-Earth object and specifically identified as a potentially hazardous asteroid within the Apollo group. Its current trajectory raises concerns about a possible collision with the Earth, and there's this lack of recent data because of the extended period since its last observation. It just makes things kind of murky and uncertain, which is scary when it comes to a destructive mound of rock hurtling through space. Number 3, 2023 DW. A recently identified asteroid named 2023 DW is causing some concern as it may approach Earth closely in about 20 years with a roughly 1 in 600 chance of a direct collision. According to NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, this space rock, measuring approximately 165 feet or 50 meters in diameter, was first detected on February 27th of 2023. It is anticipated to have a close encounter with Earth on February 14th of 2046, with a risk level that has been calculated at 1 in 625 as of March 8th of this year. So these odds are constantly being reassessed. There's an elevated risk compared to typical near-Earth asteroids, but NASA is emphasizing that this represents a very small chance of impact. And the risk is anticipated to decrease as more precise observations of this asteroid's trajectory become available. So while a direct impact from this thing wouldn't be on the scale of the catastrophic asteroid that led to the extinction of the dinos, it could still cause substantial damage if it were to strike a densely populated area. NASA is actively working on planetary defense techniques, like the successful alteration of a small asteroid's trajectory through the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, mission for short. Finally, the winner of the asteroid that could blow us all up list goes to 2000 SG344. Alright, so it wouldn't blow all of us up, but it would cause damage around the size of the Tunguska event, so don't worry, still plenty of destruction. This asteroid was first observed in 2000 and has the 4th highest cumulative Palermo rating. Based on observations, there's about a 1 in 360 chance that this thing could collide with the Earth in the next 100 or so years. Again though, it's important to remember there's some very intelligent people keeping their eyes on these things, and the chances of an asteroid disaster on the same scale as the one that likely destroyed the dinosaurs is still highly unlikely.